Welcome to Speaking of Sports. I'm your host, Jared Slack. This week I'm going to go over some NFL news. I'm going to go over a little bit of the Cowboys preseason game 2. But first I'm going to start with the Rangers. The Rangers had a rough couple weeks, and this is part of the year where if your team's having a bad baseball year, you're going to sometimes transfer over to football and not watch any more baseball. But this could actually get pretty exciting. No, they're not going for a playoff run, but you have young players that are stepping up and they're wanting to earn that starting role for 2020. This, even since spring training of this year, we knew this wasn't going to be a long run, a deep run in the playoffs. We knew this was going to be a development year for the players and the coaches. And so far, it has been good in that perspective. So look for that leading into these next few weeks to end the season. You're going to have people fighting for a job for that 2020, like Willie Calhoun, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, who's wanting to be more of an infielder instead of that in that catching role. You have Rugi that really needs to prove himself because he's been hot recently, but he streaks half the year and the other year he's great. Also, you have like the new left-handed pitcher Kobe Allard. You have the new reliever Emmanuel Clase, and they need to develop themselves for to get in that starting rotation. So that there's also some names that could possibly be brought up from the minor leagues, and I don't really know all their names. I do know there's a really good second baseman that they're thinking to bring up this week, and that could be fun to watch. But they could all those people that are being brought up could potentially be earning a starting spot in the rotation for 2020. So don't give up on the Rangers just yet. We could see some really exciting games coming up soon. Now on to the Cowboys preseason game 2. The defense stepped up on the field first for Dallas. They saw 6 plays, 3 of them were tackles for a loss, and 1 of them was a batted down ball from the line of scrimmage by Taco Charlton. Taco has been trying to make a name of himself these last few games. And the first offensive possession started at their own 3-yard line. Kellen Moore and Dak Prescott did very well at distributing the ball around to other receivers. In that drive, Dak Prescott got the ball to Tavon Austin, Michael Gallup, Randall Cobb, and a huge 3rd and 6 pass to Witten that went for 15. Tony Pollard took it home from the 15-yard line. In that drive, the Cowboys went 97 yards. Dak Prescott went 5 for 5, and he went 64 yards. He also hit 5 different receivers. Tony Pollard had a good night. In 5 rushes, he had 42 yards with 1 reception and for 9 yards. He averaged 8.4 yards from the ground. The Dallas defense saw 2 other series before the half, both resulting in 3 and outs. This is going to be a very exciting defense to watch this year. Now on to other Cowboys news. On Tuesday evening, Jalen Smith got a contract extension done worth for 5 years, worth $64 million with $35 million guaranteed. Now I think this is a great deal for the Cowboys. He's a really young linebacker, good to build around. Some people are going to think, what's this mean for Zeke? Well, I don't know if you saw, but Zeke was headed towards the DFW on Friday evening. Some people thought he might be getting a contract signed or something, but unfortunately for the Cowboys, it wasn't to get a contract signed. It looked like he just had an appointment with his barber, I'm sure, get a change of clothes, and now he's back in Cabo. I'm sure you've also heard about the latest extortion attempt from that security guard in Las Vegas. He wanted $25,000 to donated $25,000 to his college that he attended. He wanted $500,000 for himself. He wanted home and away tickets for both Dallas and Ohio State games. He wanted a signed jersey by Zeke himself, Dak, and Amari Cooper. Now, how crazy does that sound? I bet it was shot down right away. That just about wraps it up for this week. Remember, we got college football right around the corner, so I'm very excited to talk about that next week. Until then, thank you for tuning in to Speaking of Sports. I'm your host, Jared Slack. Join me next Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time on the Mute Mogul Media YouTube Network.